In my previous life, my wife, Eleanor, suddenly had a heart attack. She was taken to the hospital by her colleagues. When I arrived at the hospital, my wife had passed away. I couldn't bear the blow and fainted. When I woke up again, my wife had been cremated. No time to be sad. When the creditors knocked on my door, it was only then that I realized, in fact, my wife had accumulated millions of dollars in loans. According to her will, I am the only heir. 10 years later, I was bending over to pick up trash on the street. I saw my wife, and I thought she was dead, driving a luxury car and smiling with her first love. She smiled and threw out $100 bill. Thank you for your efforts. My body had been tired for a long time. I died on the spot. When I opened my eyes again, I went back to the day my wife had her heart attack. Chapter 1, Brother-in-Law. You have to suppress your sadness. Take good care of yourself. We tried our best to save her, but Sister Eleanor is still. Ethan, Eleanor's best friend and doctor, I regret to say, uses some medical terms I don't understand. She helped me sit on the sofa. Brother-in-law, you'd better not look at it. I'm afraid you can't bear it. I looked at my still young self reflected in the car window. On the contrary, I have no scars on my hands from long labor. After taking a few deep breaths, I finally confirmed my past life reincarnation. When I heard the news that Eleanor Wu had a heart attack, I ran to the hospital, ignoring the 3 red lights on the road. But it was still a step too late. Possess a death certificate. I regret it so much, hitting the wall. I personally don't blame myself. Take Eleanor to work. Maybe I'm just too sad, or maybe it's because I hit my head. I passed out in the hospital. When I woke up, Eleanor was already being prepared. Only a small jar of ashes remained. I stayed at home, holding onto the jar tightly, not eating or drinking. But the result is, among them were several attorneys from major lending companies. Knocked on my door. It was only then that I realized, according to Eleanor's will, I am the only heir. I was having a hard time figuring out my finances. I found out that Eleanor's company was sold. My mother-in-law, Martha, I owed millions of dollars in loans. The house was soon auctioned off by the court. I have nowhere to go. When I asked Martha for help, she refused to see me. The next few days were really hard. I lived in a small warehouse. Debt collectors came to my house almost every day. I worked 4 jobs just to survive and pay off my debts. But even after the court's execution, I could barely make ends meet. And I had to live with this disease without treatment. Until one day, when picking up trash, I saw Eleanor, people who died 10 years ago, driving and smiling with her first love. I ran to take a closer look. Eleanor made no attempt to hide her identity. They laughed at me for looking 70 at 40. She threw a $100 bill at me. Thank you for your hard work over the past 10 years. I was so angry that I died on the spot. As Eleanor drove away, it seemed like she didn't see anything. With this in mind, I made my decision. In your previous life, you chose to fake your death. This time, I'll make you really die. Chapter 2. Ethan kept asking me to drink water. But I woke up and didn't drink. Because I remembered my past life, I drank this glass of water and passed out. I'm almost 100% there must be something makes Eleanor miss her makeup. I put down my glass of water, walked to Eleanor's bedside, ignoring Ethan's interruptions. I lifted the sheets. Eleanor blushed. Her breathing seemed so gentle. I was only so sad in my previous life. You're so stupid to realize this. I raised my hand and hit Eleanor hard in the face. Eleanor didn't move. She seemed afraid I would find out. So she anesthetized herself. This is better for my plan. Ethan screamed. I thought I knew Eleanor was lying. Brother-in-law, you can't be so harsh. Even when we are angry, we can explain everything. Thinking about the sufferings of past lives, my anger soared. But I didn't stop pounding on Eleanor, all over her body. Seeing Ethan on the verge of collapse, I acted like I hated Eleanor, because it didn't meet my expectations. I told you to stay up all night to get checked out. Why didn't you listen to me? What should I do now that you have abandoned me? Ethan thought I had discovered nothing. I believe I am just expressing my sadness by hitting. But look how hard I fight. She is a little worried. My stuttering brother-in-law, please feel free to do so. Eleanor will feel pain. I no longer looked at Ethan as if he were an idiot. Ethan, why do people who have just died feel pain? Ethan swallowed. She forced an awkward smile, regretting what she had said. No, she just couldn't finish the sentence. I don't want to argue with her. I immediately took out my cell phone and dialed the number. Yes, I want to donate my organs here. I recently passed away, come quickly. Ethan tried to stop me. But because of her position, she quickly took out her cell phone and sent a message. Chapter 3. Someone from the organ donation office came. A few minutes later, I made a sad face. My wife has always been a kind person. With this unexpected death, I hope her life can continue to save many more people. The doctor at the donation office shook my hand. On behalf of their families, I would like to express my sincerest gratitude. Which organ would you like to donate? I glanced at Ethan and sighed. My wife died of a sudden heart attack. I'm not sure which organs I can donate. Just an autopsy, and check if any agency is available. Her body was donated to medical research. Ethan blocked the bed. I don't have a brother-in-law. Eleanor does not want to donate her organs. She told me this before. We have to respect her wishes. I wiped away my tears. Ethan, I'm Eleanor's husband. I can make this decision. You and Eleanor are just good friends. No blood relationship. We all know who has the final say here. Also, every moment you procrastinate means you're long-term. You are also a doctor. Don't you want to save lives? Dr. Ethan, please move aside. The organ donation staff agreed. Ethan refused to move. I just contacted Aunt Martha. At least let me see Eleanor one last time. So she told Martha. I nodded in agreement. I have no intention of donating Eleanor's organs, because I knew she would be found alive when her heart opens. My purpose is not to expose the fact that she faked her death. On the contrary, I hope Eleanor can turn the fake into real. I only did this to get Victor away. Maybe Martha. I wanted them to see Eleanor die. I have no power to stop it. This will also be used as evidence against them, if they try to frame my future self. Chapter 4. Martha came running in with curlers in her hair. She said she was in the beauty salon. She breathed a sigh of relief. I saw Eleanor still lying on the bed. Then she hit me. What are you good for? How unlucky is it for Eleanor to marry you? My daughter died because of you. Do you still want to dissect her? If someone touches one of my daughter's hair today, I'm going to kill their whole family. Martha forcibly drove away the organ donation staff. Don't donate. Don't donate. It's hurting others. Organ donation staff left reluctantly. No choice. Ethan breathed a sigh of relief. He covered Eleanor with a white cloth. Martha sat on the couch and continued to curse me. You are such a useless person. Your wife is dead. Instead of burying her in mourning, you want to use her for medical research. Do you still want to be a quiet teacher? Do you want to tear my daughter into pieces? If you want to be a good person, donate. You can die now, and I will donate all of you. I covered my face and sighed deeply. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm just trying my best. Before I could finish my sentence, Martha hit me again. Don't think about it now. I'll be back in a minute to take my daughter to the dressing room. I knelt on the ground, not saying a word. Humbly, Ethan gave me water and took me to Martha. Martha took a sip without any hesitation. She kept yelling and her mouth went dry. Ethan didn't have time to stop her. Martha fell asleep within a few minutes of drinking it. Cold sweat immediately broke out on Ethan's face. She stuttered again. Brother-in-law, you will never think about organ donation again, are you? Chapter 5. I shook my head and laid Martha on the couch. Of course not. I won't continue because my mom says no. Ethan breathed a sigh of relief. If your aunt suddenly faints, it's probably not a good sign. We need to get her to the emergency room immediately. I will personally prepare Sister Eleanor's makeup. How so? It's wrong to bother you with something like this. You're a doctor. That's not that different from my profession. You have to take care of my mother. When I put on makeup, so I contacted the cosmetics store and asked them to come immediately. Ethan tried to argue that there was no need to rush into makeup. Let's wait until Annie wakes up. Sister Eleanor isn't going anywhere. Ethan, Eleanor is dead. The living are more important than the dead. You and Eleanor were as close as sisters. But I'm not sad today. He always says weird things. What do you want? Ethan is excited, like an ant on a hot pot, trying desperately to wake Martha up. But Martha is still unconscious. Until time. The makeup artist took Eleanor away. Ethan couldn't stand it anymore. She grabbed my sleeve. Her voice is like a brother-in-law. I think I just saw Sister Eleanor move. Let's save her. I took the death certificate to Ethan. Ethan, please think carefully before you speak. Have you considered the consequences? If Eleanor is still alive, what is the role of your hospital? What responsibilities will you assume? This is called murder. This is a disregard for human life. I don't know if the hospital can continue to operate, but you'll definitely go to jail. So think again. Did you actually see Eleanor move? Ethan was at her wit's end and could not refute me. I smiled and shook her hand off. Followed the van to the dressing room. Ethan suddenly burst into tears and started making phone calls. Chapter 6. I looked at Eleanor lying on the stretcher. I couldn't help laughing. When I met Eleanor on the street in my previous life, even though 10 years have passed, her face looked almost the same. There were almost no signs of aging. I sprinted in front of the car. I want to know her. I really want to confirm this is Eleanor. I want to express how much I miss her over the years. Eleanor narrowed her eyes. It took a long time before I was recognized. It's you who is smiling. Why only 10 years? You look older than my grandfather. My voice was hoarse, and I was hunched over. I stuttered, because I certainly didn't look 50 years old. You are not dead yet. Eleanor and Arthur, the person sitting next to her, laughed. I faked my death to get away from you. However, Eleanor wasn't done. Is there anything else I don't understand? If she files for divorce herself, I can't refuse. But if you're divorced, share her assets with me. When she gained a reputation as a womanizer, faking death is another matter. Not only did it put me in debt, but he allowed her to transfer all the assets and boldly joined Arthur in a new capacity. I was so angry that I couldn't speak. Eleanor seemed to want to continue laughing at me. In fact, I heard your conversation at the hospital. I still can't forget the moment you cried. I really want to know how a person can cry like a goose. Really interesting. Ha 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 ha. She laughed sarcastically. I covered my chest and fell down. Arthur shouted, You don't think my wife is trying to cheat on us, do you? Let's go quickly. Eleanor also drove away while shouting bad luck. I don't care whether I live or die. My last memory is watching the car drive away before everything falls into darkness. Chapter 7. I am still immersed in painful memories. When I noticed, Eleanor's fingers seemed to move slightly. She seemed to realize that she was about to become such a person. I put on my makeup, and the anesthetic wore off. Let her start to wake up. I urged the driver to drive faster. Driver, please hurry up. My mother-in-law was trying to take my wife's body away. Donate. I just want my wife to leave and come back safe and sound. The driver noticed this and stepped on the accelerator. Significantly faster. I leaned against Eleanor's chest, listened to her steady heartbeat, and said everything I never had a chance to speak in my past life. I know you're not dead. I know you're lying too. She did all this so she could run away with Arthur. Let me pay my debt. But I don't hate you. I decided to respect your wishes. Because you want to die, I'll do your makeup as soon as possible. I know you can hear me now, but I'm not sure if you can feel pain. I hope everyone can experience makeup for themselves. Finally, you could be the first person to be cremated alive. You might be wondering why I do this, or how do I know all this? It doesn't matter now, because I've been through it. In my previous life, I believe what you want. Live a miserable life. So don't blame me. You owe me this. Eleanor's fingers trembled slightly, and she couldn't move. Tears began to stream down her face. I wiped her tears. I'm already crying. Plenty of time to cry. When you entered the dressing room, my phone kept ringing. I got a call from Ethan and Martha. But now, I'm just a man grieving the loss of his wife. I had no intention of answering the phone. Chapter 8. Due to the driver speeding, we arrived at the locker room 20 minutes later. The journey usually takes 30 minutes. But there are a lot of people in the dressing room today. It takes at least 1 hour before Eleanor's turn. I ran around like crazy before finding the person in charge. My wife died suddenly of a heart attack. My mother-in-law fainted when she heard the news. He is currently receiving emergency treatment in the hospital. I have to reply to her as soon as possible. Let me put makeup on my wife first. I also don't want to cause too much trouble to my mother-in-law. I had never seen anyone from this cosmetics store before. Want a Q used for makeup. He hesitated. I know you're anxious, but others are waiting. It's not fair for you to queue and cut in line. Even though he suddenly stretched out his hand. He said he wanted money. Knowing that time is important, in 2001, I took my phone out and moved it. Please help me. I am an orphan. My wife and mother-in-law are really good to me. I can't lose my mother-in-law. Additional rewards. Eleanor successfully cut off the call. Then I was pushed into the locker room. In 10 minutes, just like the staff, I tried to press the burn button. I stopped him. I can't let him become my accomplice. I personally want revenge. According to my strong argument, the staff allowed me to press the button. That moment, Martha and Ethan's anxious voices echoed from the entrance. No makeup. Martha may still be under the influence of drugs, or because of shock, falling at the entrance. Don't take my daughter out. Ethan, hold my hand. When I tried to press the burn button, brother-in-law, wait a minute. Aunt Martha has something to say to Eleanor. Martha gasped and screamed. Go out. I don't let my daughter wear makeup. I wear makeup myself. You take her out. At this critical moment, they also wanted to continue their fake death plan. I knelt down and said in a sad voice, Please let your mother Eleanor rest in peace. I am Eleanor's husband. I won't leave. Our quarrel attracted the attention of many onlookers. The staff said that this is a tragic drama after all. The powder room is not the place for such stupid things. Then he pressed the incinerator button. Ethan and Martha rushed forward desperately to stop him. Their faces were twisted with despair. The employees were startled and instinctively moved aside. Ethan and Martha, their momentum is unstoppable. Falling on the button, the flames instantly engulfed Eleanor. Chapter 9. Screams and everyone looks. From Ethan and Martha. But I kept my eyes on Eleanor. Inside the locker room, Eleanor's anesthetic must have worn off completely. I vaguely saw her open her mouth and stretch out her hand. But unfortunately, it was too noisy outside, and no one noticed. Just 1 minute later, everyone looked around the locker room. The makeup artist pointed at the makeup artist, whispering in surprise. This is the first time I have seen hands raised so high. Looks like a living person. Yes, usually only a little muscle reaction occurs. Luckily, it's daytime now. Otherwise, I would have thought it was a ghost. I wiped away the non-existent tears. I tried not to raise my lips. Speak pitifully. My wife loves her mother-in-law the most. She must have heard her mother-in-law's voice. I tried to stand up, just to see her one last time. I wiped my eyes and said to the makeup artist, "Rest in peace, my dear wife. Don't worry, I will take good care of Mom. Let her join you as soon as possible." Accidental. As I said, Eleanor's hands dropped again, as if dead. I was relieved. It's like the pain I had in my past life. Ethan is gone. Ignore broken Martha. She fell down, horrified at what she saw. Inside the locker room, she pressed the burn button desperately. Why can't the fire be put out? The staff saw how distressed the family was. First, I quickly pushed Ethan away. We understand you're sad, but the dead cannot be resurrected. If you do this, she will never have peace. Yes, this is an automatic makeup machine. Once you start, it can only be opened after it is completely burned. Please calm down. Chapter 10. Ethan turned pale and fell to the ground like a ghost. Mumbling that it's all over. Then she looked at me. "Brother-in-law, why didn't you answer when we called?" I sighed, feeling too miserable to answer the phone. The only thing I can think of is what to do after Eleanor dies. Cremation is a normal procedure after a person's death. Why would you want to stop it? Martha crawled to my feet. "This bastard, he killed my daughter. Give me back my daughter's life." I sighed again, but didn't wake Martha. Instead, I held the death certificate in my hand. "Mom, I know you are sad, but Eleanor's death had nothing to do with me. She died of cardiac arrest. It's not because of anything I did. If you don't believe me, ask Ethan. She was the one who tried to save Eleanor. This death certificate is." "Ethan, isn't it?" I turned and looked at Ethan. Ethan was speechless. Should she tell Eleanor that she wasn't dead? So how are death certificates created? Eleanor said she was dead. Martha won't believe it. Martha, understanding what I meant, suddenly grabbed Ethan by the neck. "You are the murderer of my daughter. She's still alive, and you issued a death certificate. Now she's been cremated, and it's all your fault." I covered my mouth in shock. "Mom, what are you talking about? Eleanor is not dead." I quickly turned and looked at Eleanor. Still wearing makeup. "I certainly think so." I saw her fingers move. When she walked into the dressing room, I thought it was just my imagination. I can't believe this is real. Chapter 11. Listen to me. Ethan pulled desperately at her hair. After sufficient psychological preparation, final words. Eleanor was not dead. She was just drugged. If I had waited a few minutes, she should have woken up. I still feel like I have to escalate things. What are you talking about? Eleanor was cremated alive, but was conscious. This sentence is terrible. Everyone present was shocked. The employees were livid and murmured. This happens right after I start firing up. It's natural. She suddenly stretched out her hand. "Oh my God, this is murder." When Martha heard this, she rolled her eyes and fainted. I reacted quickly and hit Ethan. "Ethan, are you crazy? How can you joke about something like this? My wife is dead, and you're lying." Ethan was shocked by the beating. "It's not a lie." I laughed. "If you are not lying, please tell me why your wife was drugged. Why is a death certificate issued? If you're going to lie, at least make it look reasonable." Ethan didn't know how to explain it, and the surrounding staff heard this. She thought he was joking and went back to work. When Eleanor's makeup was done, I left the crematorium with her ashes, feeling very sad. Before leaving, I told Ethan, "You made your mother faint for no reason. You take her to the hospital." "This is not true. I don't want to stay." Look at Martha's reaction when she wakes up. But I have more important things to deal with. Chapter 12. I keep Eleanor's ashes in a prominent place in my living room. So I quickly contacted a lawyer in order to start inheriting Eleanor's company. Moreover, in my previous life, I was extremely sad and lost my wealth. When I came to my senses, the company had disappeared. If I hadn't acted quickly in my life, when Martha wakes up, she will definitely take the lead. I can't waste my second chance. After completing the paperwork, I thought I owed millions of dollars. I know Eleanor. She wouldn't give all her money to Arthur or Martha, but I've checked. She doesn't have the money to her name, so she should hide it. Follow Eleanor's spending history. I found the garage she rented. When I followed the address, I found the cash hidden there. I quickly contacted the bank and the loan company. Pay part of the interest when you repay the loan. It's all over. I'm lying on the sofa. He was holding a glass of red wine and smiling. Eleanor's photo on the wall. "Thanks, my dear wife. Now I have money, a house, and a company. Debt-free. I will live a carefree life. This will be better than your previous life. I drank a lot and fell asleep on the couch. The next morning, I was awakened by a knock on the door. I rubbed my aching head and opened the door. Outside stood Ethan and Martha, with a man who looks a few years older than me. That man is Arthur. I think you're angry. Holding a boy of 6 or 7 years old. Someone who looks like Eleanor. Was this child born before we got married? No wonder Eleanor refuses to have children. After marriage, she already had a relationship with her first love. All three of them had sad expressions on their faces. Dark circles under their eyes. Maybe it's because I didn't sleep well for a few nights. Then, several policemen followed them. Martha walked into the room and pointed at me. Police, this man cremated my daughter alive. Arrest him and have him cremated. So he knows what it feels like. I'm looking forward to this drama. But I didn't know it would come so soon. I sighed. Mom, stop kidding. I got the death certificate. Officer, here is my wife's death certificate. My mother could not bear the loss. Possible mental problems. The officer reviewed the death certificate. Awesome, looks good. Once again, my wife and I have been married for 3 years. Our relationship is very strong. When she died, I don't want her body to rot. So I put makeup on her right away. Is there anything wrong with this? Martha clutched her chest. You lied. My daughter hated you a long time ago. If Arthur hadn't gotten a divorce, Eleanor would never marry you out of spite. You did it on purpose. You put makeup on her, just to get a legacy from the company. I confirmed with the company yesterday. What else is there to say? My eyes were red and tearful, as if I couldn't believe it. Mom, you can insult me, but my love for Eleanor is real. If we don't have any feelings for each other, why did she want me to be the sole heir to her fortune? Martha couldn't argue with that. So you're saying Eleanor is still alive? How can such a large hospital? It is impossible to tell whether a person is dead or alive. Ethan told me straight out that Eleanor was brain dead. Her heart stopped. Where in the world can you find such a person? Chapter 14. Martha motioned for Ethan to speak. But Ethan kept her head down. This makes sense. If she admits the death certificate is fake, the consequences will be dire. Better to keep lying. The situation is at a stalemate. Arthur pulled on Martha's sleeve, and she stopped talking. He sighed. Eleanor wasn't really dead. I'm Eleanor's boyfriend. We broke up a few years ago due to a misunderstanding. She married you out of spite. I recently got divorced. I came to Eleanor with my children. She realized she still loved me. I wanted to pretend she was dead to get away from you. But you put makeup on her. Arthur hesitates, but don't blame Eleanor. She didn't mean to hurt you. She is a kind person. Now Eleanor is gone. We just hope you can accept this child and give him the inheritance he deserves. I took a sip of water and followed Martha's tone. Then you're lying, I thought, and turned sadly to Martha. Mom, I know things aren't going well between you and Eleanor. She left nothing in her will. So you brought this kid here to trap Eleanor and claim her inheritance. Yes or no? What I said nearly drove Martha crazy, but she hid it because of money. You are lying. I get along great with Eleanor. This is her baby. I'm sure I've got Eleanor's will out. Mom, why did you lie? If you and Eleanor get along well, why isn't your name in her will? Why did she leave everything to me? Martha said nothing, and Arthur hesitated. He couldn't say exactly that. Eleanor made me her heir to pay off her debts. Chapter 15. I glanced at the kid standing behind Arthur. I smiled inside. So my wife, a person who has been pretending to be kind for 3 years, suddenly stopped pretending because her first love and son are back. But I'm not sad because I've already died once. I said calmly. You claim that this child is Eleanor's child. Then please provide evidence. For example, legally recognized paternity tests or a birth certificate. Arthur and Martha are confused. No paternity test, because the child was born at home. So you don't have a birth certificate. But he is Eleanor's child. I waved my hand. Officer, do you know what happened? They know my wife was cremated. He came with his children to claim the inheritance. They even falsely accused me of cremating my wife alive. Their statements are completely contradictory. Martha interjected. You can take a DNA test with your child to prove that I'm his grandmother. This would indirectly prove that he is Eleanor's child. The policeman shook his head. It's not enough. This only proves that you are related to the child. But it doesn't build up the relationship between Eleanor and the child. Even so, you can't prove that Eleanor is your only child. I can't help laughing. One of the reasons why I wore makeup. Eleanor rushed to try to avoid this. I think it was the right decision in the end. Martha and Arthur exchanged glances. Arthur gritted his teeth. No matter whose child it was, Eleanor was not dead. He cremated her alive. He is a murderer. He cannot inherit Eleanor's estate. Arthur was right about that. But he had to prove to me first that I was a murderer. Chapter 16. I suddenly looked at Ethan. Ethan, Tell me whether Eleanor was dead or alive. You are a doctor with a family. Think before you speak. You may not remember it, but I do. It was you and your mom who pressed the burn button. If Eleanor were still alive, you would be a murderer too. I reversed their movements trying to stop the makeup, deliberately pressing the button. Martha didn't have time to call me a liar. Ethan gritted her teeth. Avoid Martha and Arthur's gaze. She is really dead. I breathed a sigh of relief, but Arthur answered the phone. I brought out the evidence because I thought you might be lying. Arthur played Eleanor's video on his phone. Ethan and Martha sitting on the sofa, discussing fake death plans. Eleanor's voice is the most disgusting sound I have ever heard in my life. From, I will anesthetize. You figured out how to take down my husband. Tell him I'm done. I'll give you $1 million when this is all over. Video is incomplete. I didn't include that part. I discussed the issue of debt. Ethan squatted down and said nothing. I have no idea. Arthur seemed relieved that I wasn't lying. You should go to jail because you killed Eleanor. The inheritance should belong to my aunt. I was scared, so I said nothing. I tried hard to suppress my emotions and show my genuine sadness. Don't pretend. Officer, I'd like to make a report. These 3 people planned my wife's fake death without telling me. I was so shocked I didn't even realize she was still alive. I pointed at Ethan and Martha. They know I know. He plans to donate his wife's organs and have her cremated. But they didn't say she wasn't dead. They did it on purpose. So I ended up putting makeup on my wife without her knowing it. Then they came to claim their inheritance. Chapter 17. I asked Martha and Arthur. I found out that my wife had passed away. So I followed the normal procedure to put on her makeup. Is there anything wrong with this? Obviously not. They didn't expect me to be so clear. They thought that if I discovered the truth, I would fall apart. And it is easy to manipulate. But I've died once. I am no longer naive and ignorant. My previous life. From the moment I woke up, I knew exactly how to handle each next step. I continued breathlessly. I want to donate her organs. Mom, where are you? Why didn't you tell me the truth when you rejected me? If it's just a divorce, why should I disagree? You lied to Eleanor. You chose to let her believe your lies and fake her death. So you put makeup on Eleanor on purpose? Treat me like a villain. A man takes his wife to the crematorium. How cruel can you be? Martha stammered. Eleanor insists you have to believe it. So I had to stop donating my organs. I can't tell you the truth. I took out my phone. How about this? I called you on my way to the dressing room. Prove to me that you know I'll do Eleanor's makeup. I'm heartbroken. I was just about to reply to you. Why didn't you send a message? When I came to the dressing room, Eleanor has not yet been cremated. Then why don't you tell me the truth? Instead, you make a fuss, and you press the burn button yourself. Martha and Ethan are speechless, but I know they are confident they will have time. They thought it would distract me from the dressing room and still succeed. Desperation breeds bold action. This play has no ending. Both sides stand firm. The police took us all to the police station. Temporary detention. Under investigation. Chapter 18. After several days of investigation, the police said I, a truly simple husband. I don't know about Eleanor's affair. I never questioned Eleanor's business travel, attending social gatherings, or checking your phone. Neighborhood friends. Our colleagues also confirmed that we are a loving couple. No trace of disharmony. The security cameras at home showed no argument between us. The police don't know I'm reborn. Based on the evidence, how could a husband who loved his wife so much kill her? Martha, Ethan, and Arthur's statements are full of holes. They had plenty of opportunities to talk to me. Eleanor is not dead. But I waited until I finished my makeup. Especially Ethan and Martha. Anyone who saw Eleanor enter the dressing room, but still didn't say anything. Even if you press the button, they claim it was unintentional. But who would believe it? That's not all. Early fakes. These deaths are already very worrying. Therefore, the investigation concluded that I was innocent. Sad husband. Doing. The remaining 3 were charged with attempted murder. 6 months later, they were found guilty. Sentenced to life imprisonment. Martha wasn't so lucky. After hearing the verdict, she died of a heart attack. Ethan's husband divorced her. Leave with the kids. I was very shocked by her behavior. Rumor has it, Ethan attempted suicide several times in prison, but it failed every time. As for Arthur, he contacted me several times. Request to see him in prison. When I ignored him, he began to write letters. I beg you to raise this child for Eleanor. I sent him another letter. Tell him, the child was sent to an orphanage. I'm not an adult yet. I can't raise a child. About the man who plotted to kill my wife. Then I sold the house. And use inheritance. Eleanor told me to go get a bigger one. Property in a great location. I keep Eleanor's ashes with me. I believe in the afterlife. She will see how happy I am now.